Every divorced dad hits a moment that determines everything. Not the divorce, not the court date, not the first night alone. It's the moment that he realizes what got me here will not get me out. And most men don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they never cross the line that requires change. This episode, it's about that line. This is going to be uncomfortable, man. The most divorced dads, they don't cross. And why staying on the safe side of it quietly cost them their future. I was on that side. I was there looking at all the things. I'm gonna bring you on this journey today that helped change everything for me. And it's helped change hundreds of dads' life as well. I believe it's going to be awakening and awareness to it. If this show keeps confronting things that you don't hear anywhere else, hit subscribe and leave a review. I know there's about 30% of you that haven't subscribed yet. And let me tell you why. It's not about me. It's not about the numbers. It's about the dads out there that are trying to find something to help them. By you clicking 2 clicks, couple clicks, or you leave a review, it's literally sending it right to them. It's algorithm magic that says, hey, dad, you need help? Here you go. And I just thank you in advance for doing that. Thank you for just helping another dad. That's the point. That's what we want. 1 million dads transforming their life in the next generation. That's what we do. I'm going to get into the hero's journey today. Every single film that you've seen, every story goes through this journey. Now, you're probably aware of the hero's journey in some capacity. I'm going to break it down in a way that is specifically designed for divorced dads. That's what I've done. Stuff that helped me. I'm going to give you a little bit of the story about what movies you may have seen. All of them have this idea of a hero. They have this idea of a bad guy, a villain, and then they have this guide. There's a guide, and then there's a few things in between there. But really, and I've worked even with my kids in this. Why? Because I want them to understand the power of a story. I always will watch a movie. I say, "Who's the hero?" And so they tell me. They say, "Who's the villain?" Then they tell me. I say, "Who's the guide?" Sometimes the guide is a little bit question of how that guide is there. But we're going to walk through this. And I want you to put yourself into this story journey because this is your journey. This was my journey. This is all of our journeys. We're all walking through this. We like to watch it on TV or on a movie. Oh, that's a great movie. Great story, great villain, great hero, all of that. Now, we're putting this in your life. This is you. You have one life to live. I just ask you to open your heart, open your mind just for a few minutes and just listen and see where you're at in this journey and what it would mean to you to do a few simple things that could change everything. It starts with ordinary life. This is the hero's journey. It starts with the ordinary life. Ordinary life is most of what our life was. It was by default and not by design. Emotional autopilot, just getting through the week. I'm just waiting for the weekend. Numbing, scrolling, just letting life exist. And there is no middle. You're either growing or you're dying. There's no in between. So if you're not sure where it's at, if you're not growing, you're dying. If you don't lose it, if you don't use it, you lose it. The law of atrophy is real. That's what the ordinary life is. And that's where all of us have been in this hero's journey. And in the story of Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, A New Hope, the very beginning, Luke's life is pretty ordinary, pretty boring. He's a farmer with his aunt and uncle, right? We know that. And it's ordinary. He's complaining about this and that. And that's where a lot of us have been. We're complaining what we don't have, what we want to do, all those kinds of things. Then this is the moment. Everything changes. Okay. The ordinary life is survival mode. It feels productive, but it's avoidance with a schedule. That's all it is. It's literally just going with the flow. Here's the call. Here's the divorce part. The call is the divorce, the conflict. It's maybe the call for you is the loneliness now of the divorce. Maybe it's the identity collapse of the divorce. Maybe it was the pressure to become someone new. There is this conflict. There's this call. There's something that has awakened. It's shifted everything. In the story of Luke Skywalker, The New Hope, his where he was living is destroyed. His parents are killed. The life that he knew is over. This is the call. We've all been there. Now, you got to remember neuroscience, when identity collapse, the brain defaults to known patterns, not better ones. This is why men regress before they grow. This is why you want to stay as comfortable as you can, not too much. Don't push me too hard. I hear some guys, I'm just, it's a toil, and it's so hard, and all those kinds of things. Look, I know they are. We all know that they are. You have a life to live. If you're not growing, you're dying. You get to choose each day. What's wrong is available, so is what's right. You get to choose. So when you get to this point of the call, you're awakened, you're shook. Everything is crazy. Here's the part. Number 3, and this is where most men stay. After this call, after this disaster takes place in your life, after divorce, it's called refusal. Refusal is where most men stay, okay? Let me tell you what refusal sounds like. It sounds like I just need time. It sounds like I'll deal with this later. It sounds like I don't need help. Let me first try these things that maybe I haven't been doing. And then all of a sudden, you're starting to read books, you're getting a podcast, you're getting all kinds of divorce stuff on Instagram. I'll figure it out on my own, right? That's another theory. This is the hero's journey. This isn't something that I came up with. This is how every story is created. Luke Skywalker was sitting there after his parents were deleted, and he's there sitting saying, well, do I just stay here, or is this bigger call for me? Is this real? Do I really want, what do I really want to do? And I sit in this moment here because refusal, it's not laziness. It's fear disguised as patience. That's what this moment of refusal is. It's over analyzing the data. It's analysis paralysis. For me, in this moment, it was I did those things. I would grab a book, I'd grab a podcast, I'd make calls to people that were divorced. How do I do this? How do I, manage this? How do I get through this? All of those kinds of things. I would go in and I would try and find somebody that would help me. I remember the first couple times of getting therapy, and I was looking at the cost. Everything was a cost. Everything was, I was just doing just enough, but not too much. Didn't want to do too much to make things happen. I know I needed help, but I was figuring out my own. I'm a smart guy. I got, I worked in great companies and big places and all those sorts of things. I could figure this out. Here's some of the data and the psychology about it. Research on behavior change shows identity-based change outperforms motivation by 80%. Okay? Identity-based change versus motivation-based change. The brain resists identity threats more than physical pain. This is why men consume content instead of committing. Consumption feels safe. Your brain would rather stay familiar and miserable than unknown and disciplined. That's the reality of it. This is why, in these moments, the guide shows up. Now, in Luke Skywalker's case, it was Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan shows up. Says, hey, Luke, this is pretty crazy that's going on. I hear that you want to go here. I hear you want to do these things. I can show you how to do that. I can get you there. Luke's thinking, well, do I go and do this on my own? This guy seems kind of crazy. Is he going to take me on some crazy adventure? Who's this old guy with a hood? I don't know. Can I trust him? What if it's the wrong way? Okay. This is what the guide sounds like for you. This is what I hear every day from dads across the country. They don't know who to trust. They're in this refusal state. They're meeting a guide. They're meeting somebody who's actually been through it, whatever it might be, for myself, or if there's somebody else that you like, great. I don't care who you pick. The point is that the guide represents accountability in your life. The guide represents truth in your life. The guide represents structure in your life. The guide represents brotherhood in your life. The guide doesn't motivate you. He removes your ability to lie to yourself. Let me tell you about a guy I talked to just this week. He is super positive, and I'm a super positive guy, so I understand. I understand always finding the silver lining. However, as we were talking, I took a step back. I said, "Hey, can I pause you for a second here?" I said, "Man, you're actually being too positive and you're giving too much grace here." I said, "If your life was on the line, what would you do in this situation? Would you just think everything was okay? Or would you attack what you needed to attack?" And we were talking about some sales things that they needed for their business and that was going to affect his family. And he said, "I would attack it. Yes, it's not going my way. I need to attack this problem. I don't need to just pretend like everything's okay." That's where we're really good at lying to ourselves. That's where we will look at the easiest possible option that looks a little bit better than doing nothing, but it's not fully committing. So, going back to the hero's journey, Luke meets Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan says, "Hey, I can take you here. I can show you. I can train you." There is that moment of, do I trust this crazy old man or do I try and figure it out on my own? This guy seems to be telling me some pretty valuable stuff. He seems like he does know what he's talking about. However, I don't necessarily know for sure. There's a moment for Luke where he crosses the threshold. He crosses the threshold. He says, "You know what? I'm going to go with you. I'm going to commit. I'm going to do whatever it takes to do the thing that's in my heart." And Obi-Wan and Luke cross that line. In some instances or some phrases, it would sound like burning the boats, that you burned the boats and you went forward and you went across. And the guys that I've worked with on this, that is what it feels like. It literally feels terrifying. They're absolutely terrified because most of the time they've never had somebody that they were accountable to. They never had somebody that was calling out the things that they were avoiding. Their wife probably was, but they weren't really listening, or they didn't think it mattered, or they thought it was maybe just who they were. They didn't have structure. They had no design to their life. I had no design to my life. And I was coming from a C-suite, high level most of my life. But personally, internally, mentally, even physically, cutting corners. Blind spots were there. Didn't have brotherhood. Didn't have accountability. So Luke crosses the line in this hero's journey. What does that look like? It's asking for help, and then it's getting committed to the help. It's killing distraction. It's choosing discipline. It's removing the exit ramps. The exit ramps is, I'll try this for a couple days and then I'm good. Or I'll do this for a little bit and then let's see, let's test it out. Let's try. No, this is fully committing your life to the design and plan that is in your heart, that is in your life, for you to be the great dad that you are, for you to create the business that you're going to create, for you to go all in. It's terrifying. And it's also transformative. It's actually what is on the other side of that fear. So if you're feeling fear about that decision, I know guys come on board with me and we'll talk and have, great thing. And then once they kind of understand what the cost, what's the cost, or what do you have to commit to, or they drop back. Why? That's the tension. That is the fear. They're absolutely terrified of the unknown and they don't know how to get through that. And they either do or they don't. This isn't about whether you do or you don't. It's to say this is the hero's journey. Luke had to make that, he had to cross that thing. He had to say, I'm in, I'm all in. I'm going for it. And we love watching the guys that are all in, right? We love those movies. We love those films. This is your movie. This is your film. And it's not just about you. Your decision is going to affect your children as well. Remember that identity change alters behavior faster than habit tracking or motivation. So Isaiah 43 says it like this: forget the former things. I'm doing a new thing. God doesn't renovate old identities, he replaces them. The old is gone, the new has come. That is what this whole hero's journey is. Once you cross the threshold, once you start working, once you get committed, once you start moving in that direction, then the transformation happens. You see Luke grows, he builds, he gets trained, he gets guided. Obi-Wan tells him the things that he has to be careful, be aware of, be careful for this, don't do this. This is a blind spot for you. You got to be aware of this. Luke handles it. Luke grows. Luke makes mistakes, but he's then transformative. And there's all these other films about Luke. He's Luke Skywalker now. He's got it. Those of you dads, you're listening now. This is what we're talking about. You're in that place. You're in this holding pattern. You're in this holding pattern. And if you were to look forward ahead, say you're 80 years old, look back, say at 80, what would you tell yourself now? What would be the move? What is the most aggressive move that would be uncomfortable for you to do? You say, man, everything's uncomfortable for me. Everything's uncomfortable for me. Well, it is. Everything is uncomfortable because now everything is new. You've never walked this journey before. I'll tell a story like this. With recently, I've wanted to make some health changes. I wanted to, put on some muscle, lose some weight, do all those kinds of things. I've done this for, 30 years. I know how to do all that. I know how to input food. I know how to work out. Well, why wasn't I getting the results then? I had to take a step back. I had to look at my accountability. I had to go ask somebody else, what's my problem? Well, I'm 45 years old. What worked when I was 30 doesn't work anymore. What works when I was 40 doesn't work anymore. You're 45, my man. Food has changed. Things have changed, brother. What worked then isn't working now. Oh, I'm like, gee, why didn't I figure that out? So what happens? We get a plan. We get a system. And now I have to follow the system. I have to eat this. Then I eat this. And then I eat this. Then I work out. Then I do this. Then I sleep. All of a sudden, weight starts to come off. Muscle starts to build. And I step back and I have a chuckle to myself and I laugh. And I'm like, geez, this is life. You're either intentional or you're not. And when you're not intentional, you're still intentional. You're just intentional on the things that you want to do or you don't want to do. Intentionality is everything. Your life, the people around you, are like buttons on the elevator. Your decisions are like buttons on an elevator. Your thoughts are like buttons on an elevator. Let me tell you what the buttons do. The buttons are either going to take you up or they're going to take you down. Your thoughts are going to take you up or they're going to take you down. Your actions are going to take you toward up, the direction where you want, or down, the direction where you don't want. Your relationships are going to take you up or they're going to take you down. And you get to decide that. You will rise. You may rise to the level of your dreams, to the level of your vision, but you will fall to the level of your systems. You have this opportunity of being a guide, of doing things you've never done before. However, to do what you've never done before, you've got to do things you've never done. So when you come up to this friction point in your life where there's a guide or you're wanting to transform your life or you wanting to make more revenue and everything feels difficult and everything feels hard, you have to ask yourself, what do you want? What do you want? What do you really want, man? Every time I sit with a guy, what do you want, brother? What do you want to see in your business? What do you want to see with your kids? What do you want? Well, I just want to have a good life, or I just want to, make sure that they're taken care of. Great. What does that look like? Because you can tell me really clearly about what your current present situation is. You can tell me really easy how much everything sucks and how much your ex is a narcissist or gaslighting or all these other things. You can tell me that really, really specifically. Can you tell me what you want specifically? Can you tell me exactly what you want so that we can build you a roadmap to get there? If somebody said, I want to build a custom home, awesome. Custom home sounds great. You say, yeah, just, 5 bedrooms, couple garages, nice driveway, maybe basketball hoop, pool in the back, maybe some of this. Awesome. Sounds great. And if that's all you gave the custom home builder, you would be in for a really serious surprise because they might make the bedrooms super tiny bedrooms. You might have a above ground pool. They want to cut costs. You might have fake grass instead of real grass. There is so many details to what you want that the reason why you're having trouble getting to them is because you haven't specifically designed what you want. And because you haven't designed, then you're on this hero's journey and it doesn't seem like it's worth it to you. It doesn't seem like it's valuable to you. It seems like, well, everybody else is doing this. There's all these other things that I'm learning, and I'm reading books, and I'm going on YouTube. Seems, wow, super valuable. But when it comes to investing in you, in crossing that threshold, I think the threshold really for dads is spending money investing in themselves. If I was to say, Anthony, what's the hardest thing you see for dads to do? I would say it's spending money investing in themselves, because I think dads in general are very responsible. Great dads, very responsible. They're so responsible that they're going to take care of their kids, their school, their house. They're going to take care of everything else. But then when it says, hey, have you invested in yourself to get the best help you can get to get you forward so that you can grow your business, your income, be a better dad? Can you do all? Have you done that? No. Man, there's the friction. The friction is that they will take responsibility for everything else but themselves. And when they say, I would do everything for my kids, and then they say, I want to be the best dad possible, but yet they don't invest in themselves or yourself to get the best person available for that, then what happens? They just they're at a stuck. They're at a moment. They're terrified. And I was terrified too. But when I look at it, let's put it to your kids. If your kids are in sports and they want to have a coach or they want to get coached by somebody, and you could go and you're finding this coach or whatever it may be, you're going to find the best coach. Why? Because you want your kid to have the best. They be the best. I want you to be the best, man. Then go to this coach. Let's figure this out. Let's see how good it is, right? If your kid's hurt, do you go to the worst doctor or the best doctor? And many guys are like, well, I don't know. I go with what I can afford. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to want the best healthcare for your child. Now, when we use that same mirror for us, dads, we don't operate that way. I'm just being real. We're looking at whatever's the most cost effective is what I'm going to get, unless it's a life or death situation. Your scenario right now with divorce is a life or death situation. Rates of men taking their own lives is 800% higher. Your child not having you in the home, fully present, functional with a structure and a system, is going to cost them their life. This is mission critical. And if you don't think it is, then look at the numbers and the statistics of what happens to your child when you are not crushing it in life, when you don't get the help you need to do better. I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm saying it's for the million dads that want to transform their life and the next generation. That's the call I'm making today. Crossing the threshold, forgetting the former things that lie ahead. that are in the past, pressing on to those things that are ahead. The cost of staying in refusal, then I'll close. Kids feel unstable. Some of these statistics: confidence erodes, habits calcify, life shrinks quietly. Time doesn't change men, decisions do. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. You practice how you play so that when you play, it feels like practice. That's the level that we're at. Every decision is intentional. Here's a challenge that I'll give you for 24 hours. Identify one area where you're refusing help. And I would say identify one area for yourself that you are not doing because it's costing you too much. It's too high of a cost. One thing for yourself where you'd be like, hey, you know what? I'm not doing that. Make one decision today that costs you comfort and tell another man what you decided. Because I'm going to give you these 3 questions. They'll be in the show notes. Where am I telling myself I just need time? What help have I avoided because it threatens my pride? What is my refusal costing my kids long term? Those are the 3 questions. And I would add this one. What is something that you need help in that you keep telling yourself it's too expensive? It's too expensive. And then you're saying you have to be responsible. That was one of the biggest blind spots for me, for myself. I would do everything for everybody else. For myself, nope. I wouldn't pay it. I wouldn't. Why? You know why? Here's why. I didn't think I was worth it. And I didn't believe in myself. Those 2 reasons. I did not invest in myself because I didn't think I was worth it. And I didn't believe that it would work. What changed and what shifted? What shifted for me was that I had to believe that I was worth it, that my life mattered, that my kids needed me. And I was going to invest and do the scariest thing possible just to see what would happen. And I did. And my life transformed and doors started to open. And I came upon the greatest gift of my life, a purpose, a fulfillment, a calling. You guys think that this is just a podcast, man. This to me is a calling. I get emotional when I talk about it because when I hear what dads go through and when I can help get them on track, move into a whole new dimension, a whole new other world, that's why I'm here on earth. That's the simplicity of it, man. I love you guys. There's 2 things. One, if you haven't subscribed, drop a sub. There's 30% of you or so that haven't, man. And one of the things that it does, you just click the button a couple times. It's going to send this podcast to a lot of dads that need help, man. I just want to say thank you in advance for that. And those of you that are following me on Divorced Dads of America, let me know what you want to hear about. Check out the content, man. Every day I put a coaching clinic in there, man, for all different things that you're going through. I love you guys. I believe there's a million dads out there that are going to transform, rebuild their life. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless you. I love you.